On January 18, a violent stabbing attack occurred in the heart of Tel Aviv, just a day before the planned ceasefire between Israel and Hamas was to take effect. The attack, which unfolded in broad daylight, saw a 19-year-old Palestinian, Salah, from the West Bank city of Tulkarem, stab an Israeli civilian on Levantin Street, a busy area in central Tel Aviv. Reports confirmed that Yahya approached his victim without warning and attacked him with a knife, leaving the man critically wounded. As the attacker fled the scene, chaos ensued, and the Israeli authorities immediately responded. Local police officials confirmed that the stabbing was being treated as an act of terror. In a swift response to the assault, an armed civilian who was nearby intervened and shot the attacker, killing him on the spot. The injured Israeli victim, who was rushed to the hospital in critical condition, was later reported to be stable after receiving medical treatment. His identity has not been publicly disclosed, but the attack has been widely condemned as a senseless act of violence. Hamas, the militant Palestinian faction that governs the Gaza Strip, quickly claimed responsibility for the attack. In a statement issued shortly after the event, the group hailed the stabbing as a natural response to Zionist massacres carried out by Israel in Gaza. Hamas reinforced its long-standing stance of resistance and vowed to continue fighting to end Israeli occupation in Palestinian territories. This statement underscores Hamas's broader narrative of justifying violent acts against Israel as part of their ongoing struggle for Palestinian independence. The timing of the attack, just a day before a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas was set to begin, has raised significant concerns. The ceasefire, brokered with international mediation, was seen as a critical step towards halting the months of intense conflict that had caused extensive casualties and destruction in Gaza. While the ceasefire was meant to provide a window for humanitarian aid and a reduction in hostilities, the stabbing attack in Tel Aviv has cast a shadow over the prospects of peace and raised the possibility of further violence. Israeli officials expressed concern that such attacks could undermine efforts to maintain a fragile peace and escalate tensions once again. The situation is part of the larger context of ongoing violence between Israelis and Palestinians, with cycles of retaliation and conflict frequently erupting in response to various provocations. In recent months, the violence has intensified, particularly in Gaza, where Israeli military operations and Palestinian militant attacks have led to a heavy toll on both sides. Israel's security cabinet has acknowledged the weariness of its forces, but the relentless cycle of attacks continues, with little hope for a breakthrough in peace negotiations. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, speaking on the eve of the ceasefire, emphasized that Israel retains the right to return to fighting if necessary, a statement that suggests the conflict could resume at any time should the ceasefire fail. Netanyahu's remarks reflected the deep distrust between Israel and Hamas, as well as the fragile nature of the truce. While the ceasefire would ideally offer respite for both sides, many Israelis remain skeptical about Hamas's commitment to peace, given the group's history of calling for the destruction of the Israeli state. The violent events in Tel Aviv have further complicated an already tense situation. Israeli authorities are bracing for possible retaliation from Hamas and other militant groups in the region, who may view the attack as a message of defiance against any attempts to end the conflict. Security has been tightened across Israel, with additional police presence in major cities like Tel Aviv and Jerusalem to prevent further incidents. The international community, too, is closely monitoring the developments, particularly as the ceasefire is about to come into effect. Many have expressed hope that this agreement might bring a temporary halt to the violence, but there is widespread concern that such attacks may derail any prospects of long-term peace. International diplomats and peace advocates have urged both sides to exercise restraint and engage in dialogue, though this remains a challenging task given the deep divisions and historical grievances that have shaped the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. The attack in Tel Aviv serves as a stark reminder of the volatility and complexity of the situation on the ground. While both sides have experienced immense suffering, the cycle of violence continues, with innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. Despite the efforts of the international community to broker peace, there is no clear path forward for resolving the conflict in a way that addresses the underlying causes and ensures lasting stability. As Israel and Hamas prepare for the implementation of the ceasefire, the eyes of the world remain focused on the region. The timing of this attack underscores the precarious nature of the truce and the challenges in achieving meaningful peace. It remains to be seen whether this tragic incident will serve to escalate the conflict further or if it will prompt all parties to reconsider their approach and work toward a more sustainable solution. The future of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict remains uncertain, and the road to peace appears fraught with difficulties. For now, the hopes for an enduring ceasefire and the possibility of a lasting peace agreement seem as distant as ever.